World famous gun show. Today I got a gun that I want to profile. It's an interesting gun. It's a gun that was real hot on the market when it came out. It's the Sig Sauer P365. However, this Sig P365 is the SAS version. It actually does not have any sights on the top. The sight is just this little dot right here. And the SAS makes it like this snag-free version for when you're concealed carrying it, don't snag on nothing. I'm trying to get it where you see right there. You see that little dot? That's actually your sight, that dot. Everything is clear. We are on the range. We're in a very safe space. I was not a big fan of this Sig Sauer P365 SAS for a few different reasons. However, there were some things that I wanted to do with it, and I went ahead and I just did it, you know? If you don't know, in Sig, in the P365, it's a very, very, very special pistol, okay? What happens with this pistol is, what's considered the pistol on the Sig is actually just gonna be your trigger group, okay? This trigger group is what's considered the gun. So I took the slide in the frame and I said, I'm gonna put this gun together. It had aesthetically some of the things that I like in some of my pistols. The barrel is ported here, okay? I got 2 ports inside the barrel. It's a very small barrel. I would say this is probably about 3 inches, 3.25 inches at the longest. I didn't measure it, but this is definitely no longer than 3.25 inches. I'm gonna show you how it is that you can actually take this Sig P365 apart, all right? So on this side, you got your slide lock right here. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take the gun, you're gonna slide the slide back and you're gonna lock it back. Then you have this pin right here. You take this pin and you flip this pin down. Once you flip this pin down and it stays down in that position, you're now gonna just drop your slide and the slide pushes right off the pistol, okay? So now you have your frame like this, you got that down, you got your slide. You put your slide back on there, you lock your slide back. Once it's locked back, take that pin, pop that pin back in place. Now, perform your function checks, make sure that your pistol is working. That's exactly how you take this slide apart, or you take this gun down for your cleaning and stuff like that, and you put it back together. The frame that normally comes with the P365 SAS, it's a very small frame. So I got on the Strike Industries site, and Strike Industries sells a grip frame, or grip module they call it, for the P365, and this SAS fitted, and that's this grip module that you see right here. And I was able to just drop my trigger group in there, and boom, voila, I'm running, right? I purposely chose this Strike Industries grip frame because I wanted my hand to have a little bit more purchase on this pistol. And that little bit more purchase meant a lot to me because the smaller that the slide is gonna be, you're gonna get a lot more, I'd like to say kaboom or whip it, you know, the gun is jumping a lot more when you're shooting it. Now, obviously, good shooters and people who shoot, you know how to get your grip the right way in order for you to actually control some of that recoil that happens off of these small slides. But for some people who are brand new, you know, that grip means a lot. And for me, once again, I liked a little bit more purchase on this pistol. So that's why I chose this Strike Industries grip module. I'm gonna give Strike a big thumbs up for this grip module. It's got a nice cutout right here, you know, for your finger to fit in. You know, the trigger guard, it's very big and open. You can get your finger in there to squeeze the trigger the right way. I really like that about this Strike Industries grip module. So, Strike Industries grip module, it gets a thumbs up from me. It's definitely something that I would say, go and purchase if you got one and you want it. This Strike Industries grip module, it accepts 3 different size magazines. The 12 round, the 15 round, and the 17 round magazine. So you can put all 3 inside this grip mod and actually it works the right way. I got a magazine right here. It's a 17 round magazine. And I'm gonna show you exactly how flush it fits. 17 round magazine sits right inside the pistol. It gives my hand the right amount of purchase. I liked it. Now, these magazines are expensive. You know, I like to tell people when they're asking me about what gun to buy and what should they do, I like to tell them that you wanna buy pistols that you're accessible to some of the things that you need in order to shoot that gun. And one of the things you need are magazines. Magazines, you don't want them to cost you a ton of money. However, these days with the 2011s and these SIGs and CZs and a few other, pistols, these magazines cost money. This magazine might have cost me in upwards of $60 just to get one of them, and that was just so I could test the gun out. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about, purchasing pistols. That was something that was kind of sort of a downside to me. But once again, the magazines are accessible. A lot of gun stores that you walk in, they're going to have this Sig P365 magazine because it's a very popular pistol. Something that I wasn't so crazy about is this sight system, the SAS sight system. I don't like it so much because you need to have good light. If you don't have good light, then you're not really going to be able to see the dot. When you're out here in great light like it is today, great light, you can see the dot. I don't know, you see the dot right there. You see how it's illuminating. But if I put my hands over this, you can't see the dot anymore. So once you put your hand over it and you get something that's covering it, you don't got a dot no more. I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that. So that was one big downside to the SAS for me. This does have a ported barrel, which should allow keeping some of the muzzle rise down, getting those gases out. I shot it a couple of times. I wasn't a fan. I said I'm still going to make a video on it because this is a very popular concealed carry, everyday carry pistol for a lot of people. It's very popular. So I figure I'm going to get out and I'm going to try it. So once again, I like that magazines are very accessible. I like that I was able to change the trigger group because I had a trigger group just sitting around for a P365. So if I wanted to get an XL macro, if I wanted to get a P365 XL, if I wanted to get anything else that's 365, I already have the trigger group. Pop this trigger group out. There's a little pin right here in the back. You pop that pin out. Once you take the slide off, you pop that pin out, and once you pop that pin out, you're able to remove the trigger group. The trigger group, once again, is what's considered the gun or the firearm to the government because it's the trigger group that has the serial number on it and not the frame. The frame is something that you can purchase, no background checks. They can send it right to you at home, things like that. The slide, once again, that's something you can purchase, no background checks. They'll send it to you at home. You can go right in the store. It does not matter. So those were some of the things that I really liked about the P365 and what Sig put out. Accessibility to magazines, the chance to change the trigger as much as I want across different platforms, and the fact that I can get rid of this slide, get a different slide, pop it right on here, and I'll have technically a whole different gun. Same caliber, but a whole different pistol. Now I'm going to test some of the things that I don't like about the pistol, and I'm going to show you why. We're going to shoot this 65 grain ARX round. ARX is, I forget who makes this round, but I reload. So I reload my own rounds. I reloaded this round myself, but this is 65 grains. If you ask me, this round, I believe, performs well out of this small barrel pistol. A lighter grains, just 65 grains. It gets a lot of zing in it. If I'm not mistaken, when I did my testing on this round is moving well over 1,000 feet per second. I'm gonna see just how the sight system works, and I'm gonna show you what some of the recoil is like with this 65 grain round. I like the recoil that I'm getting out of these 65 grain rounds. However, lining the SAS system up, my first few shots, they seemed like they were off to the left some. And then after I got a little bit of correction going on in me, I was able to get some, obviously, right inside the bullseye, inside the plate. My spread is no larger than 2.5 inches going on over there. 65 grain round. I say a lighter grain round inside this smaller frame of a pistol. You know how small this frame is. A light grain round is ideal for this pistol. We're going to shoot some higher grain rounds. These are 125 grain rounds. looking at my target, I'm noticing that I'm shooting low and to the left. I'm trying to learn how to balance out this SAS system with being able to get on target. I got one round that didn't hit the plate, but my other rounds are low and to the left. That's obviously something that, me as a decent shooter, I can fix that. But I was getting a lot more kaboom out of this 125 grain round as opposed to the 65 grain round, which is almost half of the weight of the last bullet that I was shooting. So 125 grain, I guess to say if I put 115s in here, I would appreciate the shot of a 115 grain round. I don't mind the shot of the 125 grain round. We up the grains once again. We're gonna shoot 135 grain rounds. The kaboom is getting a lot more as I raise the grains of the rounds that I'm shooting. And I gotta make sure that my grip is in there the right way. So that's one thing. As you're shooting these higher grain rounds in these smaller frame pistols, you gotta make sure that your grip is definitely in there. I need my index finger, I need my pinky finger to be wrapped properly. And then as I'm shooting, I need to make sure that I can handle the recoil. Now, this does have a ported barrel. Do I think the ports are doing much in this barrel? I wouldn't say so. I'm pretty sure they're working to, keep some of the rise down. I am getting back on point with the dot a little bit better. I'm not trying to shoot as fast as I could be shooting this 135 grain round. If I had to come out and train with it, I would train with it. 135 grains, it wasn't bad. I got some decent shots on target. I didn't have one that didn't hit the target. However, 135 grain, it's like, let's up the ante. We're gonna go to 147 and check that out. This 147 grain, I would like to estimate what it is I think that it's gonna do. I think that I'm gonna have a much better accuracy with 147 grain. .147 grain felt good. So in between 65 grain and 147 grain, it's gonna be one of the two of those rounds that I say that I like for shooting this pistol. Those mid-range rounds, 115, 125, 135, those were just like okay. But the 65 grain was great, the 147 felt great. So now I'm shooting 125 grain hollow points. When I'm on the range, I'm very rarely shooting hollow points. A lot of times when I come out with hollow points, I'll take the hollow points that I'm gonna carry, my everyday carry, I'll get an extra box of those, and I put those down range so I can totally understand how to control the round that I'm gonna be shooting in defensive situations. So this is a defensive situation round, a hollow point, home defense rounds, as many of you may recognize it as, and we're gonna see what this does. I love the way the 125 hollow point round shot through this. I felt like there wasn't a lot of jump. I felt like the rounds were getting out and they were rather stable. My grouping over there is no larger than 2 inches, which, obviously with some training with this pistol, if I came to the range a lot more with this pistol and I got training, I could, take that 2-inch group, which is about this big. It's no bigger than the inside of the palm of my hand. I could take that 2-inch group and I could shrink that down to 1 inch for sure. However, this SAS system is a challenge. It's a challenge looking through just this dot. There's no sights. I know how to shoot well with sights. I know how to shoot well with a dot. But just this SAS, when I'm pointed out, you got to make sure that this little, it's like a little dot that's inside a circle. You want to make sure that that's in there and it's on your target. And once you get it in there and on your target and you squeeze, obviously you get some jump. So you're waiting for that dot to get back on point in your eyes. That takes training. This SAS pistol, I'm going to give it a thumbs up, okay? I want it to go kaboom. consistently and safely. And this pistol does that. The fact that I paired it with the Strike Industries grip frame, I love that. It gave me much more purchase and a better handle over the pistol other than that tiny frame that the SAS actually comes on. My favorite rounds, 65 grain, 125 grain hollow points, and 147 grain rounds. Those 3 rounds shot good. So technically, I was able to do a lot of good shooting out of this SAS. And I'm gonna put hundreds of more rounds through this pistol. And that's when I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna give you a real overall review on what I think of this pistol. I just got a chance to put it together recently. I put, maybe 100 rounds down range inside this pistol. Sig Sauer P365 SAS. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up because I liked what it was that it did. I liked what it is. It's just the SAS is a challenge. That's snag free. It's a challenge. And it's made like that for your everyday carry. It's made like that so it doesn't snag on something. But honestly, I train. And I believe if you get out and you train, you're not going to have these problems of things snagging and stuff like that. Because you're going to work on pulling your shirt up, getting your pistol out, pointing it down range the right way. You're gonna work on that. And you're gonna work consistently on that. And you should do that dry firing. You should do that on the range. You should train on the range the way it is that you actually live. So SAS gets a thumbs up from me. I think it's definitely put together well. World Famous Gun Show. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you have not, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. It helps the algorithm. It helps people know that a lot of this firearms knowledge is knowledge that is essential for everyone to have. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, please. You would be doing me a favor. And I'm out of here. This was the Gun Show, P365 SAS. Appreciate it.